You got the soundboards.
What improvements?
What do you mean?
We didn't even do an intro. What did you do? Fucking improvement.
You got to start the podcast.
We're starting.
Oh,
There's
no.
no more introductions.
No, we gotta.
Oh, look at the tables.
Yeah, we got to go back.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everyone, to podcast number
3.
3.
Yeah.
Right? All right. First things first. Jagger and Ryan are under the impression that we didn't update the studio.
What do you consider updating?
I'll tell you what it is. Because these guys right here, they don't set up. The producer sets up. We put some window coverings on our doors. Did we not? So that allows us to keep our gear well and connected. So these guys right here can just sit down and podcast.
There it is.
I'm just saying.
I like it.
What are we gonna start with?
Let's jump right in.
Yeah, let's jump right in. First things first. Couple of things that kind of just been out there. Reaction to home prices still rising up. Actually, forgot whose podcast I was listening to. PBD's podcast, and it's up still 11% nationally. Thoughts?
What do you think, Ryan?
11%. Since when?
Nationally for this year, for last year.
So all of 2021.
Yes.
Surprised it's that low.
I'm thinking like it averages out.
I guess so.
Right.
'Cause I feel like we've been.
Yeah, and I feel like around the country things are a little different.
Yeah.
So in Jersey, I feel like it would definitely be higher than.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, if you're looking at nationally. What question do you ask? What do we think
What
about?
do you think about it?
Not shocking. Like I said, I'm surprised it's actually low because I feel like around here it's higher. Where it's going to change in 2022, I think it's definitely going to change. It's going to be less.
Yeah.
But I still don't see it going the other way.
Yeah, I agree. And even just talking to sellers on like a daily basis on like how they think the market is they still think it's going up. In Jersey, I feel like a little bit less than like Florida market. Like everything in Florida is still going above asking, a lot of offers.
Yeah.
And just talking to people, they still think it's crazy. So I feel like that's definitely, a big part of why people think it's higher than maybe 10 or 12%.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, if you think about it though, like 11% is like, think about it, like that's a pretty big number, not for nothing. That's the other thing too, like,
yeah, it is.
Right? Like if a house is selling for what, 300,000, that same house sells for, let's say 10, that's 340 grand almost that it's selling for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's.
No, yeah, it's definitely high. I think I'm looking at it from the last 2 years. Like,
I see what you're saying.
From like when COVID first hit till now,
Yeah.
that's probably way higher. But this last year, that makes sense. Yeah, this 2-year run that we've been on, that's just been. I haven't been in real estate that long, but even when you look back at those peaks and everything, I feel like we haven't seen anything like this.
Yeah.
And we haven't hit a slow either. So even with interest rates set to rise.
Yeah, and I feel like even in where a lot of things are going above asking and things like that, even for us where we try to buy off market or just, get it less than market value, we still had a crazy year too. So I feel like even with everything growing and, everything's going up in price, there was still a good amount of sellers that were willing to just, sell under market value, which is pretty interesting, I feel like, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like people are under the impression that like most people just want to like get top dollar. Some people just want like get this out of my hands, or I don't want to be a landlord anymore. And these are issues that are always going to happen. I guess it's just with inflation for like the regular person, like that hurts them a lot, right? Like we're value add, so like there's always going to be people that have like assets that need to be like bought back up, to its top value. So I feel like there's always a space for us. Mm-hmm. But I guess more for like a retail buyer, it throws you off.
Yeah, we've even talked to a lot of sellers that can't find a new property to buy. So it like affects them, us buying their house. So now they're all looking to buy properties and they can't find anything because one, they don't want to pay too much because it is a seller's market, but they also want top dollar for their property. So it's like there's no give and take.
Yeah, like it's like, what do you do? Like where are you going to go, right? Unless you want to be like a renter, right? But that's not for everybody, especially if you lived in a house like your whole life.
Nah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely an interesting year.
No, for sure. Yeah. What else we got? Oh, so like that's another thing, just to piggyback off that. So interest rates are they saying like they're gonna start going up. Right. So in theory, if I'm not mistaken, right, like that should bring the prices not like crazy down, but should bring them back like to a more, I guess, realistic relative to like be prior to COVID, right? Or at least shooting that way.
Yeah, obviously, when interest rates start rising, things level off.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're still at such a historically low interest rate period that even in quarter 2, quarter 3, I think they'll slowly creep.
Yeah.
But it'll still be at a almost an all-time low, even with the creep. So I think it'll maybe cool things down. Maybe it won't obviously rise another 11% the market. I don't foresee that. But, like I said, I don't see it not, still going upwards.
Yeah.
I don't see a crash coming, my opinion.
Yeah.
In at least the first few quarters of 2022.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll keep a close eye on it as quarter 3 and 4 comes around.
Yeah.
Now that makes sense, especially like if the interest rates are super low and they're only going up a little bit, people are still getting money relatively cheap. So they're going to still, buy or at least just try to take out a loan because it's, I feel like right now a good time to do that.
Yeah, for sure. And there's also no inventory.
Yeah. Like that's what I like, right? Like that's, I guess, was like the big difference, right? Compared to like, I mean, we didn't get to like firsthand experience, right? Like the last crash, but like besides like the like just bad mortgages for sure. Like there's just not enough houses for people. Like that's a big thing.
Yeah, for sure. Because we never had a time in history, at least that I can remember, where people leaving big cities and, like the migration patterns and all that. So there's just so little inventory out there, especially with the new generation coming up looking for homes. I feel like we're in a weird time that with low interest rates and low inventory makes it tough to just find deals all around. And even first home buyers I know a few of them personally having a hard time finding that home.
No, it's a good point. And I also feel like, I don't know what you guys think about it, like people who are trying to, like find a place to go and move, since they can't find one, maybe be discouraged to move. But a lot of people are working from home. So I feel like a lot of people are thinking about like if I'm working from home, spend all these hours here, is this the place I want to be? So I feel like that's what's having a lot of people also like maybe want a backyard or move or find something different as well. No,
for sure. And no, you're right. You put like all this stuff gets put into perspective, right? Like, because now you have to think about this. Like before, right? People rent small apartments, thinking like I got the whole city's my backyard, and then it gets cut off, and you're like, oh, like I got to stay here in this like 400 square foot like apartment, or this 1,000 square foot ranch with 4 kids. Right now, it's not as big as you thought because now everyone's there for a long time.
Yeah, I got a question. When do you guys think is the right time to sell then? Like, right now, a seller can maybe get top dollar, but like we just said, they're having a hard time finding something that they can actually buy that's fair price because the market's, they're not able to buy anything.
That's tough. Like, because it's relative to the person. Like, for me, like, I don't mind living in an apartment. Like, let's say, but like, also, I don't ever want to sell, right? Like, I feel like the right time to sell is like never. There's a right time to refi. But, I don't know. Like, I just feel like, especially if it's like a rental, if it's a single family, that's different. It might not cash flow, right? You might want to take advantage. But I think it's relative, right? Because, like, what if you're using that money for whatever, whatever. It means a lot to you. So I don't know if there is I guess a black and white time. It's kind of like relative to like the person.
What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I agree. I think it depends on the person. So it's tough. I mean, I feel like we all have the same mindset where we could, I guess, sell or rent or bounce around type of thing. But if you have a family and you're already accustomed to a certain size house and a certain way of life, it's to go and sell and then go buy somewhere else. It'll be easy to sell, but then it'll be tougher to buy. So I know a few friends personally who sold their house and then had the option to move like in with their in-laws for like the year. But then they've been trying to find the house now for a year or two, and then they can't. They get an outbid.
Oh, that's rough.
So it's tough. So, but if you're older, maybe you want to downsize. This will be a perfect time to sell out.
That makes sense.
Maybe rent a place that you don't need to buy another place. So I think it's very personal to to you.
Yeah, and I feel like everything in real estate, it just depends on the situation, the seller, the person. So that answered it.
How many times when you started was your like a response to your question? It depends.
Yeah, I would try to have like a blueprint of like, okay, so like this type of seller wants this. Like, how do I handle it? It's like, oh, it depends, because every person, individual, like their characteristics on how they're even going to say something is different. So that's why you can't always try to have like a black and white answer on how to handle it.
Yeah.
It's funny though, all the time.
Well, with that being said, all right, one of the questions from a couple of the people that just come to our meetups, that listen in to our podcast, so I kind of wanted to bring it up, was just based on that, is if someone's starting out in real estate to invest, not to just buy like a primary residence, right? Like, what are some things like they should know or like they shouldn't do to kind of get started?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Give me an example.
Yeah, like some challenges, like if you're looking, let's say your goal is to buy a rental, like what are some things you want to do and some of the things you don't want to do?
A rental, like a 2-family, or like a rental to live in?
No, well, maybe house hacking, but it will strictly be with intent that this is an investment.
Yeah, I think house hacking is a great way to get started.
Yeah.
That's when you live in one of the units, like a 2-family, rent out the other. I think you learn a lot going through that process. So that could be, you don't know what you don't know when you get started. So, and one way to hedge it is you have a tenant paying for half your rent, and then you'll learn how to manage the tenant. You know, you'll learn how to run a building in a way, live in a building if you've never been on your own before. So I think all those things are great in a way to get started. But if you don't have the option to house hack, or you're looking to get into flipping, some red flags or challenges, maybe underwriting a deal wrong.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to estimate a rehab budget, you don't take into account some of the fees when you're under contract. If you use, private money or hard money, maybe a lot of those hidden fees, appraisal fees, interest rates could, if the project goes longer than expected. So a lot of learning curves on the first one.
Yeah.
So I would always recommend maybe partnering with someone at first, or shadowing someone that's done it or at least went through one deal.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. I feel like my one thing that I would, try to focus on, like I'm trying to do for myself, try to buy my first property too, is just make sure when like what Ronnie and Ryan always say is like the cash flow, right? Like it's really important, but you got to take account all those fees, the principal, the interest, the tax, insurance, and a lot of people don't do that. They're like, oh, I get this rent, a couple things for maintenance, and then I'm going to be making this, and you don't rely on that. So I feel like just making sure you understand your cash flow, I feel like is definitely very important before you jump into anything.
Yeah. That was my experience as well. A lot of things that people don't account for because they're expenses, but you don't know what they are, but they're coming, right? It's like a lot of people don't like to account for CapEx, right? Capital expenses, right? The roof, what else? The roof, the mechanicals, right? Just major things. Vacancy, right? That's another one that people don't account for. Like, it don't matter how good your unit is, right? Like, you could be in New York or in Jersey where the vacancy rate is New Jersey, the vacancy rate is 3.8, right? So it's like pretty low, but still, you still have to account for it, right? Because it's going to come out of somewhere, the money, right? You're going to have to pay the mortgage that month regardless. On turnover, right? There's going to be at least a month, unless you're the man. Because I can do a month, but I haven't pulled anything in less than a month. Like, I don't know. What else we got? So you got repairs, right? Just regular repairs and maintenance. Like this week, I don't even know if I told you, but we got squirrels in one of our units, right? So we got squirrels that I'm trying to deal with now.
I feel like we've had squirrels for like 3 years.
Yeah, it's always squirrels
everywhere.
So now we got to cut off all the branches in a tree. So
Better
now,
than bats.
Yeah. Oh, we dealt with bats too. So now we got to get a tree guy to chop off the branches to then get the exterminator out there, and that's just one unit. The bats, that was in the listing.
That was Eddie.
Yeah, that was Eddie.
I feel like it goes back to having reserves too, right? Like, you want to make sure you have all of this stuff planned for, but then when shit hits the fan, you want to make sure you have something to help get you out of these jams.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. Always try to have some people say 6 months, some say a year cash reserves.
Yeah.
But at least some cash reserves, because things will go wrong. Even if you're experienced, things, happen. But on the first one, I would say you're always going to miss something.
Yeah, no, for sure. You just want to make sure you're not too leveraged or like way too in over your head, right? But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to like just do it. Like run your numbers as best as you can, and if you see an opportunity, just kind of take it. You know,
Boom.
right? Like
There it is.
that's the best thing you can do. You're looking to get your first investment.
Yeah, soon, hopefully.
I want to get you on record so then we can hold you accountable.
Ooh, you want to get me on record?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
My goal is hopefully by end of this year or beginning of 2023 to have it set up.
What's that? What are you doing?
Like to purchase a rental.
Got you. Like purchase it or house hack it? Just curious.
Probably just purchase it and not house hack it because I'm looking to start out of state.
Whoa.
A lot of it has to do with Ryan, and was talking when we started investing in Florida, like it could be, and you were as well, like it could be
See what I mean?
a little easier to be a long-term landlord first, so then you get the kinks out of not being able to go to the property and do everything, especially if I wanted to do it in Florida, lower buy-in. I feel like maybe a little bit more comfortable for my first one, and then kind of take it from there.
Yeah. I mean, another expense is property management, right? You're not going to be there. So that's another thing people don't account for, right? A lot of the responses are like, I'm going to manage it myself forever. For 30 years, you're going to manage it yourself and never get tired? Doubt it, right? So you might as well account for it. Pay yourself the property management fee. So then when you do put someone into play, you can just, right, instead of pay yourself, now you just move that money over to the property manager.
There it is.
And this is not coming from a property manager. This is just a regular guy.
Ronnie's kidding.
How long you been holding that in, the Florida thing? I feel like he's been,
I've been holding that in for a little bit now. I just wanted to make sure, that's what I wanted. At first I was thinking Jersey. I don't want to say something if I'm not committed to it.
Sneaky.
So once I realized like Jersey, the market's a little crazy too here right now. So I feel like could get something.
Can't trust this guy.
No.
Get something
What
fair in
part of
Florida. I'm thinking West Coast.
Woo!
There it is.
Get away.
Yeah.
You guys are going to be neighbors.
I'm trying to get an office down there like Ryan one day.
I like Fort Lauderdale. I think I got to pivot.
Oh, East Coast.
You're going to the other side?
He's gone.
Wow.
Trying to be like,
If you're trying to sell one of the rentals, I'm here.
yeah.
Oh, man.
Got Mystic.
Yeah, I like that luxury Airbnb.
Nah, it's not luxury.
Not yet.
We could build an ADU out there.
There it is.
Oh, yeah. Legit.
That's legit. That's the property to do it.
Yeah.
Gotta.
That's the size for it, too. Right?
And it's got a pool, right?
Yeah. Behind the pool, like, if you see the survey, that's like on the other side.
I didn't know how to pool.
Yeah.
Well,
No, you guys are lying.
It definitely has a pool.
why would we buy a Florida house without a pool?
That definitely affected the ARV for sure too, because houses without the pools.
We did for those who don't know what underwriting is, so we keep mentioning it. That just means analyzing a property and putting the potential numbers on the property just to kind of for us to make the best decision possible.
Yeah, and for that one in Mystic, like it was important to obviously the bed bath, the square footage, but also like the lot size, the pool, and then what you're trying to do to it as an Airbnb. We got to take that all into account for the underwriting, where as a straight flip, we probably would have maybe paid a little bit less. I remember we were talking about, but since we can have it as an Airbnb, get a couple $100 a night, that can help our exit strategy of paying a little more, I feel like, up front.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So Airbnb, but it still has enough equity where we can like force the equity and still get the numbers we need. So, right, multiple exit strategies. That's the goal. For sure. Going to Florida,
Boom.
Getting a rental.
All right, any other bold statements, Ronnie? You got anything, Ryan?
I'm not the one who had the thing. He's been holding it.
Nah.
You've been hiding it in. What does Veronica feel about that?
Oh, she's interested in it too. We're gonna try to do it together, so that'll be fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's the plan. Okay.
Everything's planned out already. Just
Shout outs to Veronica for giving us the bread.
there it is.
What's it called?
Focaccia. Yeah,
How do you say it?
Focaccia.
Focaccia.
Yeah.
Focaccia bread.
She's a mega good baker.
Yeah.
There it is.
It's funny because he was talking trash about it.
Nah, we're not getting into that. And Jay couldn't be on another podcast because what happened this time?
I think he's like boycotting this. I don't know. He's talking about he hates this seat, and now he's talking about he wants like a lazy boy there in the middle of the table. I was like, what are you talking about? That's not how it works.
Well, I thought he was just working on all these projects, so he's too busy to
Maybe,
be
I
here.
guess.
Pretty sure him and Seth started their own, and they're boycotting it.
Oh my God.
They hit the construction edition.
They're going to call it the Real Freedom Podcast.
They got another week.
Yeah, that's it. We got to get them on.
All right. So we're talking Florida, and we have the third market of PA, right? Another question. I know I get a lot of questions about this. It depends.
There it is. I think that's Ryan's slogan. It depends.
Yeah, you know, I gotta slide around.
Yeah. Of course, those are tough.
Yeah, for us, it was a combo. So one, we were looking for I guess from an expansion side, I wouldn't call it less competitive, but maybe a lower buy-in market. It was one, because New York, New Jersey, we have pretty high price points here. Second thing was more tax-friendly, landlord-friendly state. So that was the second reason.
Yeah.
So we narrowed down a few states, and then we ended up in Florida. And then the other side is, like we always say, where we want to be. So if some people don't have that mindset, they say, I'll invest where I want, and then I'll live where I want, which works for some. But I always feel like if we ever have to check out the properties, or obviously like you said, you went to Seaside a few weeks ago, so you always have the option to actually visit your own properties. You feel like it's part of, something we're building.
Yeah.
And I would hate to invest in an area where the numbers make sense, but I dreaded going to. So
yeah,
like the U.S. is big enough to pick. In some areas you could have both.
So we going to Huntsville, Alabama, or not? No, that's a good point though. So it's not just about like where you can make money. It's also about like where do you want to be? Because especially where you got to go check these properties out. You don't want to be in Huntsville, Alabama. Nothing against Huntsville, Alabama, but like you're not trying to be in Huntsville, Alabama. Like
there's something against Huntsville, Alabama.
I do know Ronnie doesn't want to be there, so that's the only reason why I touched
Alabama.
on that. But no, on a serious note, like, so I agree. I feel like it's important to like invest where you want to be, and then when you're there, you'll be enjoying it more as well. I feel like for us, I feel like that's kind of the game plan we've had. But also like the landlord friendly, I feel like that's important for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I try to stay on the retail side, just because I have no interest in the project side, and I chose like Rahway for my first house hack because I liked it here. Like, remember me and Amaris came here for a weekend. We were going down the train line of New Jersey, NJ Transit, and just choosing our place based on the access to the city. So the train being access to the city, we just chose every stop and just like visited every area. Saw Rahway. We stayed here for the weekend. We're like, oh, it's pretty cool. And
oh, that's cool. So a big part of you buying in Rahway was the commute to the city.
Yeah. Right. Because then you kind of have a commuter pool that is there, right? People that don't want to live in the city or can't afford to live in the city, but need access to the city. People that grew up maybe not wanting to be around so much people, but once again, right? Their income.
Did you also like the area, or you didn't care?
I liked it. I wasn't. I'm similar to kind of like the Freedom Way, which works perfectly. Like was we kind of like I was on the same wave that I want to find something that I like, that I want to be around. Because once again, right, we got Mystic, right? It's like, oh, who wants to go, take a look at Mystic in Florida? I'll volunteer.
I'll go, right?
No, I got it, right? You don't want to. It's 10 degrees here in Jersey right now, like.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm. So,
it's funny, Abby, the contractor down there.
Yeah.
I was talking to her on Slack, and she, like 3 days ago, and she was like, she said that exact thing. She's like, she looked like 10 degrees out there, and you're freezing. And I was like,
finish the house so I can move in.
Yeah. I told her, I was hoping I'd be there already, but with the tenant issue we had going into it, so that delayed it. But then she said, yeah, it'll be done soon, and she said, bring your swimmies
because of the pool.
Yeah.
So it'll be about another few weeks.
It's exciting.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, it should be done the end of January.
Whoa! Why don't you tell me these things?
I'm like him. I'm sneaky.
That's it. You got to stay behind the scenes, man. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. So end of January.
Ryan hits you with the need to know.
I'm not even gonna be here.
Damn.
I won't either. I'll be out in Park City. But once I get back, then I gotta fly down there and then transfer all my personal residence.
Oh, have fun with that.
Florida resident soon?
This guy's gonna be a Floridian. He's gonna be the one complaining about taxes.
Yeah.
Remember
It's
all
too
this?
cold out in Texas. That's how you know somebody's from New York and moved down to Florida.
That's it, right there.
My first friend that'd be your dad.
Literally, yeah. He'll be talking about taxes and pretzels too.
Shout out Tony Bones.
There it is. Tony Bones, hope you're listening. Oh, man. I love this shit.
Yeah, me too, man. Company goals.
Ooh, company goals.
We said it.
All right. So I'll start.
What do we got?
10 Airbnbs by the end of this year. Or we said 12.
10 total.
10 total Airbnbs by the end of this year.
Correct. And right now we have
Three.
three. One that's finished and then 2 more in Florida. Is that your statement true? Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
That is.
So we got those 3.
What's another goal?
40 podcast episodes. Right? It was 40 or 35?
35, 40.
It was 40.
40.
40, yeah.
It was 40. So we got 40. So this is 3 of 40. So what else we got?
The projected?
Yeah, and then two revenue goals.
We have 2 revenue goals. Yeah.
Yes.
So we have to separate that, right? Because we have a projected and then an actual.
Yeah, we have an actual that we want to hit this year.
Yes.
In 2022. So we upped it. We hit it last year by
Yeah.
about 50 to 100 over.
Yeah.
And then we're doing a slight increase this year, up another about 200
Gotcha.
to 250 from last year. So nothing crazy. Because I feel like the first few years we've almost doubled and tripled year after year.
Yeah.
And I think we're at a point now we all made a group decision that we don't want to double again. I think you eventually hit a point of
Yeah, it's great to double, but then you got to have the system
It's
behind
going
it.
to start turning into like boiler room out here. Like, go.
the system, the team, the want, and
Yeah.
I think we hit a comfortable spot this year.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to try to sustain slight increase next year, and then the projected goal is everything we get on the contract in 2022 that we're anticipating selling for 2023, or even anything locked up this year. So it's gonna be
Yeah.
projected. So that'll be a higher number than the actual.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That makes sense, right? Because we can lock up a deal, let's say December 31st of 2022, right? But that necessarily, we're not going to see the profit to that until maybe 2023, right? So we want to make sure, but that still accounts for, I guess, the projected for this year.
Mm-hmm. But the actuals for next year.
But the actuals for next year, right? Because it's 2 different numbers. It's hard, especially when we're flip heavy. So like these projects can take like the Dayton can, took a year plus. So like, if you kind of play that game, it's going to be hard to really gauge where you're really at. So having those 2 numbers kind of lets us know like, what's upcoming, right? What we already got like in the funnel and what's actually going to like come through this year.
Yeah. And I also feel like it helps you gauge like how we thought something was going to go and how it actually went. Like the projected of what we thought the number was going to be, and then the actual is where we actually landed on that. So then you kind of see the difference of how close or far off we actually were.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's good to have too.
Yeah, and I like it because I like the trickle down too. With like all this freedom that we have here in this company, right? Like, I guess it helps with our like little city of sales.
Mm-hmm.
We get to like, okay, what do we need to do to get hit these goals? I'm sure Seth and Jay, that's probably why they're not here. They're like, yo, we gotta hit these goals. No, they just don't come to. They just don't think we're cool enough to be here.
Yeah, they're like, screw these guys.
These guys are losers. But
Shout out to Seth and Jay.
Yeah. Well, Seth, you know who I'm gonna put on the spot right now? Because Seth, I know. Where are you, Seth? I know you listened to this because you commented on the last one. He said that as long as I give him a heads up, he'll be here for the next one.
So Seth's next week.
That's it. He'll be here. That's what he said.
Boom.
Need
That's
the heads
it.
up. All right. Give them a heads up.
Yeah, that's it.
There it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're good, man. I think we covered everything we wanted to talk about. Any closing statements, anything like that?
Nah, I'm all good. Hope you guys enjoyed another podcast, and any questions, just reach out.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Catch
Later.
you next one.
Another one done.